name is Jordan, and I'm an addict. It was funny. I had my last probation meeting this morning with my probation officer, and she had mentioned something along the lines of, how does it feel to now be free and not have this hanging over your head? And I said, well, I've been free for a while, actually. And she didn't sort of understand what that meant. So I gave her a short answer to not being a slave to my mental obsession and what that meant. And for someone like her, it was hard to understand. She hasn't had the struggle of what I had, but I could equate it to anything, or whether it's a cell phone addiction, just a mental obsession, because we tend to obsess over a lot of things. So it was good to have that conversation with somebody. And so yeah, so my mental obsession with the drugs was pretty crazy. I don't remember the day it started, but I do remember how bad it got. Drugs were good. They made me numb. They made me just shut down. But after a while, I need so much of it, and I'm not getting the same thing from it. And even when I have it, I'm obsessing over it. One or 1,000 was never enough was a big way to say it. But my drug of choice was, my main drug of choice was fentanyl, and I got a tolerance to that. It took a while to get the tolerance I had. It made me to a point where I couldn't afford it, so I had to do stuff to get it, and that stuff was stuff that I normally never would be able to do with a normal mindset. And with the drug of choice being what it is, there's this thing called Narcan. And my mental obsession with my drug was so bad that when I heard about Narcan, I looked at Narcan not as a life-saving medicine or whatever you want to call it. Narcan was my way out of shutting my body to the point of overdosing and generally knowing full well that my girlfriend will bring me back so I could get as high as I wanted to get. As high as my body would possibly let me get, shut down, and then I could be restarted. And that took a toll on my body, physically, mentally, definitely. Waking up, it's a weird feeling to have that happen. I just remember going dark, so to say, and then be brought back. And then your mind is sort of reeling from what just happened. And as I'm taking stock of everything that happened, one thing that was jump-started right away when I came to was my mental obsession. So then it's right back at it. It's time to get high again, even though I'm either in a hospital or I got people around me. Some people are crying because they just witnessed what they witnessed, and I'm coming back. But the one thing that came back right away was, I need to get to what I need, which would be my drug of choice. And then it got to a point where, because I would have to use my drug of choice every day to start my day if I wanted to do anything, even though once I used it, I wasn't doing anything, but I needed it just to be awake. But then doing my drug, it shuts me down. Weird. But so, I would use it once in the morning, and then there's a period where I can't, if I use it in between that, I don't get that rush. I don't get that thing I'm chasing. So then Narcan became the way to reset myself. So I would wake up in the morning, I would use my drug of choice, and then, within 20 minutes, I'm like, I want to feel that again. it would be a waste of money because if I used it again, it wouldn't work. So I would use it and then use Narcan and then use it again. And it was just a way to constantly appease that mental obsession that I had. Because even when I had it in my system, I was still obsessing over it. It wasn't like, oh, I got it, I'm good now. It was a constant battle that I could not win. It was like a ladder that never ended. And it was definitely by the grace of God that I'm not dead. Because when I went to a doctor at one point, I had overdosed, and in the hospital, when you're someone like me, well known in my town, they're gonna search through your bag. And they found stuff. So I wake up and there's cops there. They want to talk to me. And then the doctor asked me, why do you have so much Narcan in your bag? And the nice answer would have been, well, it's to help other people. But I've always been very honest. And even in my addiction, I've always been honest with people. So I just told him, I'm like, this is what I use it for. And the guy looked at me and he's like, are you crazy? And like, no, I'm just a drug addict. So it was normal. It was normal for me for sure. And I didn't really know what the mental obsession was at that point. It wasn't until I went to the treatment center I went to and I started learning about it and I had clarity. I was able to look back and like identify all these things about it. And with my mental obsession, I have hostile self-talk in my brain. And when those two go together, I'm doomed. And the best thing for me is my drug. And the biggest thing I can equate my hostile self-talk, what it does to me is like if you've ever been to a rescue shelter and you see a dog that has been abused and neglected, and when you go to embrace this dog, it wants to curl down and it wants to not be seen. Its tail is in between its legs, and that's what my hostile self-talk does. It shrinks me down to what just shrinks me down. And then my mental obsession kicks in and says, hey, you know what will build you up right now? It'll be your drug of choice, whatever that may be. And it all seems well, but then, and I'm back where I'm at it. And so I never really went to treatment before. I had bits of sobriety in jail. I did 6 months, a couple 30 days, I did a year. And the big thing I noticed in the year when I was in jail was there was no drugs in jail at that point. There's sometimes when I'd go, there would be drugs and you can participate if you have the money or you know someone. But the one time I did a year, there was no drugs in jail. And I remember not craving that much when I was in jail. I'm locked in a cell. There's walls upon walls, there's bars. And I just remember talking to someone like, this is weird. I don't feel anything. So I did a year. When I got out, the minute I touched pavement, I felt everything that I think, like everything that was waiting in that year picked up the minute I got out the door. I was mentally obsessing over it. I was craving it, even though I haven't had it in me for like a year. So it was any type of my own will or any type of institution up to that point didn't really work for me. And I thought at one point everyone around me thought jail would work, because I did my year and I came out and everyone's like, what happened? Like, you were good. I was like, well, I was good until I came back out. And no one knew what to do with me. Family, we tried counseling. Counseling was good. I can talk about things, but I would talk in a meeting, but when I left, it'd be the same thing like jail. I was good when I was in, and then I leave out because I'm left to my own thoughts and my own hostile self-talk, which I can't shut down at this point. So it's shrinking me down. And then the only thing that I know in life to build me up is substance, which gives me this false sense of identity, a false sense of security. I lost my identity in it because I just was this big facade. And yeah, I would obsess over the drug, thinking it was the only thing, thinking it was my only friend. And yeah, it's weird. It's weird when I think about it, because then one day I wanna make a change, and I don't know, like, I didn't make that spark for the change. So I go to treatment, and 12 steps, didn't know what they were. Okay, I'm here. So I did 12 steps, and when I came to the treatment center, I had a non-existent search for a higher power, and the 12 steps made it a high quality spiritual search. And that search led me to God, which was not anywhere I thought I would see it going, but that's where it went. But I just went with it. So then we're learning, and I'm talking with people, and I'm being monitored by staff who were, just like me, and that have recovered from a hopeless state of body and mind. I'm like, what does that even mean? And luckily, the guy who I did my steps with, we shared our story, and we had a pretty similar story, although I like to think I wasn't as crazy as some of the stuff he did. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of similarities there, and he too was like me. We would just obsess over it. And, well, how does that get removed, that obsession? And I didn't have the answer yet at that point. And when we were doing BBA, you do the prayer about your mental obsession, and I would do that. I had never really asked God to remove my mental obsession. I didn't think that was something I could bring forth. I thought, I wasn't really strong in the whole idea that God would show up. I projected my abandonment issues from my biological father onto God. So, but I stayed active in that relationship, and like I always say this to people. My favorite part is when they say that with man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. And when I first seen that, I didn't really believe it, but it stuck with me, so I just went with it. I didn't try and internalize it. My brain likes to internalize everything. My heart, I always have a good heart. My heart wants to do the right thing, but then my brain kicks in, it internalizes all this stuff and makes it a big disconnect. And so then one day I'm literally going to my probation, which is this is at the time I'm at Career, so it's like an hour 40-minute bus ride, and I'm on the bus, and it's a long bus ride. So I tried bringing a book, but it's a little loud. And I just remember looking on the ground. I don't know why I looked on the ground. I really don't know, but I seen a dime bag on the ground. I literally laughed out loud, and I'm like laughing because I'm looking at it, and then I'm sitting there and I'm realizing, like, the old me would have grabbed that bag, made sure there was no drugs in it, and if there was in it, I would be doing it. I wouldn't. It could be anything in it, but it could be drugs. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna risk my life, And it was a funny moment to see that, because I could see the old me grabbing that, not going to my PO, getting off at the next stop, throwing these opportunities I had away. And it was funny. And then I really realized that mental obsession could be gone away. And then, when I look back on how bad the obsession was, it was bad, but no matter how bad it is, it can be better, And I mean, life nowadays, there's a lot of obsessions I like to obsess over, like even just completing probation. My mind tells me, you're not, like, I've never completed it before, so my brain's like, you're not going to do this. But then I'm obsessing over it. What do I say? Do I say the right thing? You know, stuff like that. But, and where I work, you know, I work at where I went to treatment. And I remember at one point someone saying, do you notice any miracles? Something like that at a service. I'm just like, no, I don't really see anything, you know, not really thinking about it. And then I wasn't trying to actively look for them, but working where I work, the treatment center I went to, I get to witness a miracle that happened with me and other people. I see people come in who are struggling with this mental obsession, you know, and it's like it comes to a point where you just got to let go and let God, you know. May not come right away, you know. Like I'm trying to think of when that was, like 3 months into treatment when my mental obsession came away, and you know, but now I get to witness other people having that issue and seeing just a change one day. You know, I remember one day I was leading a walk and I didn't really think this one through, but we walked past a bar. Like I should have navigated a better route, you know what I mean? Because there was a couple of newer guys at the house, and then after they're like, "Hey man, walking by that bar was tough," and I'm like, because to me, I've never struggled with alcohol, so I didn't even think about it. Like I don't notice LCOs. I don't notice bars where like a couple of people I know who are alcoholics, they can tell me where everyone is in the city. So I didn't really think about it. And I felt really bad afterward, but you know, a month later comes down the line, and then you know, their optic body systems are going out, and they're talking to me about how this obsession has been removed. It's just good to see. It's good to see that it works. You know, I would like to say that once it's removed, it's all good. You know, I'm done. I'm done with the God thing. You know, I'm done with all of that. But you know, it's not. But it's a solution to a problem, so why would I deny the solution? And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.